My name's Brad Patello. This is my good friend Gus Trouth. We are both animators. You saw my film at the beginning of this thing, the animated short that played at the beginning. I'm in my 18th year of teaching animation at Edinburgh University. I was 15 when they hired me, so I'm
last year.
33 now, yeah. Gus, Edinburgh alum, also one-third owner of More Frames Animation Company in Eerie, an animation studio that did some of the effects for Unearth, right, correct?
On the VFX.
The VFX for Unearth.
So hopefully you didn't notice any VFX, because if we did our job right, you wouldn't have noticed anything, which I hope is the case.
And the two of us have a podcast together, which John listens to, I guess. Thank you for that. And so that's why we're here. And we're here interviewing the cast of Unearth. Thank you. First question, which I guess is just for everybody, and you can answer in whatever order. Just how did you become involved with this project? And what was the story there?
I'm from Edinburgh. I'm Allison. Hi. And John reached out to me, I think, because some local people were like, oh, there's this actress from Edinburgh, and he had a female lead in this movie. And he had mentioned Mark's name, and Mark and I had been a small role on a film that Mark did like 10 years ago that Gideon Raff directed, the creator of Homeland, so it's kind of cool. And so I knew him and was like, well, maybe Mark would want to come on to this. So we chatted, and John was awesome, and Dorota they were super cool. And we did a proof of concept first to kind of raise some money, and then we brought on a different writer in LA, and I brought on some casting people. Mark and I both came on to produce as well, so kind of like bring together people and work on the story. The casting brought everyone else to this wonderful project, I guess. I don't know, does anyone else have what was your?
So Allison, you were kind of the
You
first
better
one
throw
involved.
me a bone right now, bro. Oh, how did you get involved with the project, PJ?
Damn, man.
We did Underground together, so maybe they're piecing it together. Damn.
I was gonna explain when it came to me, but I'll tell you now. Anyway, Mark and I met on Underground, and I'm being honest, right away, I liked him immensely. I felt a real human being here, a real good person, and so this project came along, unbeknownst to me, and then you texted me or called me out of the blue?
I think I texted you and said, hey, I'm going to send you something I want you to read. I think I wanted you to read it first. And just...
Yeah, and then and you pitched me the character. I was like, yep.
Yeah. I mean, going back to Underground, it's, you guys have, in your workplace or whatever, you can kind of see who elevates things, like who are the stars. It's like, I just remember being on Underground and watching PJ perform, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not the guy I met at the table read the other day. And I was like, it was a real it was a transformative role, and I just thought he crushed it and brought such depth to it. And I remember when we were talking about the script with John, I'm like, boy, this is such an interesting role, because it's an alpha man who has his life in a vice, and he's unable to really do anything about it. He's just under pressure all the time, and at some point you want to feel that explosion. But to me, it had to be an actor that carried the intensity to have that ability to be pushed down, but you like him on the journey, but you also can anticipate a moment that's going to come. And as soon as I read it, I was like, John, I know the guy. And we just got to get him to Eerie to film this thing. And so we were very fortunate that PJ say yes. And listen, I can say the same about these two. In my opinion, I felt like it was kind of the relationship between Monica and PJ. That was the part that I felt was going to ground the movie, and whether or not an audience would believe these are two farming families or a bunch of actors just playing farmers in a movie. And when I saw Monica on the first day, do a scene, I just remember going to John and saying, holy shit. Like, these two are phenomenal together, and this kitchen scene and the way that you guys lit it and shot it, and I just remember, like, John, you got a movie. Like, it's there because of what I kind of saw everybody up here do, and I think it made, John, Allison, and I, all of us, like, take a big breath and just say, okay, we can hang our hat on the talent in front of the camera here, knowing that will kind of help carry it through, because it is a unique structure. This isn't like the standard genre movie where we're going to show you a bunch of knives and weapons and blood in the first 5 minutes. We really wanted, and it was John and Dorota's intention all along to have this throwback movie where it was a character-rooted story first, and then the genre components came in the back door. And I was like, well, you have 50 minutes, you have 45 minutes where you have to really fall in love with these relationships, or it's just not going to work. And it's on the page, but it's got to be in the casting. And I just thought that those guys just crushed it with who they brought on.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it was the first time that I had ever been offered a role and hadn't auditioned. So I was a little nervous because, what if you show up and they're like, oh God, this is not what we wanted. But, and I did feel that kind of scariness in myself, because usually if you audition and you put it out there and like, okay, that's it, and then you go on and you go, okay, well, they liked what I did. What if they didn't like what I did? But having Mark there already, and as soon as I started working with John and the rest of everybody, I just felt so at ease every day and felt very safe to risk, So I think that's really important to find on a set where you feel safe to risk, because then you can really go into interesting places.
No one offered me anything. I had to actually audition, and I had to send in a tape, and then they didn't say anything for a long time, and then they were like, oh, you got the job. So that's my story. That's how I came on board.
I don't think I went through casting. I think I shamelessly emailed John about this. Yeah, I did. So I'm from here too. I went to McDowell. McDowell. Yeah. So someone sent me an article saying that this movie was shooting in my hometown, and I don't know if even that person was from here. I don't really remember, but I remember thinking that's really neat, and I want to hear more about it. And if there's a part for me in it, I'm just gonna ask if I can be in it. So that's what I did. Because I'd never seen anything really be filmed around here, and it's a shame. And so it was so wonderful to read about something. And so I think I emailed John, and I was like, look, this is really embarrassing, because I have an agent, actually. I had an agent and a manager at the time who neither of them, I didn't go through them at all. I was just like, I'm just gonna email this guy. I'm not gonna bother with my representation. So I just emailed John, sent him my reel and a bunch of stuff, and I was like, hey, if you have anything for me, I'd love to. I don't know if I made a tape for you. I can't remember. You might have just looked at all my stuff, but it was really, really nice of you. Thanks, John. Thanks for letting me be in your movie.
When we do a podcast, I get to edit it, so we actually are a lot less intelligent and articulate than we sound on the podcast. So apologize. So did John give you any reference when you got the role and kind of preparing for the role? Did John give you anything to look at, or were you basing it on anything like personal experience or other parts or anything like that?
I can project. My background's in theater. He told me to watch The Witch, and that was like the vibe of what the movie was gonna look like and what it was gonna feel like.
He told you that?
Were we in different movies?
He didn't tell me anything.
Yeah, he told me to watch The Witch. But that's what I had.
Roger Eggers, correct?
Watch Space Jam. I mean,
Crazy. I feel like I had because I came on and helped kind of work on the story was very different initially when Mark and I did the proof of concept. Like, there was a son who I was having a thing with, not Mark, and Mark was having a thing with my mom in the original. So
It wasn't my choice
it was a whole different script. So I think when I came on, I was going to college, and I was like, yeah, I'm too old to go to college, and yeah. So my grandmother had been a hobbyist photographer, and being an actor, you're an artist from this area. I kind of know what that is to do this thing where people are like, wait, what do you want to do? Like, why do you want to go to this art thing? What's that? So that is kind of how Christina became this photographer, an artist struggling with that, trying to find herself, but being in this town that she was. And also my cousin, a lot of my character had stuff that I put in it. My cousin had taken care of my grandmother when she was getting older and dying, and so she sacrificed quite a bit of years doing that. And so that kind of got pulled in as well, for Christina, at least. Yeah.
You mean as far as getting stuff from John? No. As far as getting stuff from John, is that where we're still at?
Or just whatever you base the character on, or anything you looked at or referenced from.
I think I just kept looking at the story and the circumstances, and trying different ways, as we do as actors, to identify with the circumstances from here instead of here, and those can be a variety of things. Did you want to say?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in that I saw a huge shift in you. There was a cadence shift after you had gotten here. It was just a slight time before we started filming, but there was a cadence shift. You dropped in to this, like the character was there and it was different than you. Just like Mark had said, you had this pivot that happened, and it became like this man that I would see in Edinburgh, or this man that I would see, that I know from here. And you're not from here.
Well,
so
there was a lot of locals too that I
Yeah.
would talk to,
Yeah.
and or crew
Our
even.
crew were
So you
locals.
pick up that. But John, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was always, I think, like coming at you with questions and all the time, and putting them on him, and is this going okay, or does this feel right, or how about this? And he'd whisper something in my ear, and it's funny you say all this. I don't see it,
Oh,
but.
yeah.
Then you're like, if I don't see it, how am I going to tell him I got it?
I think also, like to PJ's point, the two farms that we filmed at, actually we had lost our location like a week before filming. I think it was like a week, and it was kind of a panic of like, oh my gosh, how are we going to find two farms across the street from each other? What do we do? And serendipitously, these incredible locations appeared that I think were even more stellar than the original, really. And across the street from each other was perfect, exactly what we needed. And the farm stand is actually a farm stand of the Leshevsky family. If you guys know them, they have corn in Edinburgh, and it's amazing. It's like the best sweet corn in town, like hands down. And so I went a couple days early and hung out with one of the guys who, it's his farm, and picked corn with him and saw how he did it, and learned about, I grew up in Edinburgh, but I didn't grow up on a farm, so I didn't really know. So I learned about the kinds of varietals that he used and why and how he grew them. And I think just hanging out with them and seeing how they lived and did everything kind of is what you're saying, in that they were there and you hang out with them because they were filming, and kind of, rubs off maybe.
Yeah, and Allison and I did have a little bit more of a luxury with coming on a little earlier than these guys did, than the typical, like, okay, well, hey, the movie starts now and you guys all come back to town and we have 2 days of prep and scrambling. By the way, we just got these new locations, and this is a movie that was made for a number, and we didn't have the luxury of all the time. And some of the things PJ was saying, my hat's off to John, because to allow an actor who just got into town to have that ability to really explore it and find it and talk, that's not generally the pace we had to be at on this movie to do. On a personal level, for the George Lomax thing, the thing that really struck me the most, and the moment I liked in the script the most when I read it, was the picnic table scene, where you kind of see philosophically what these two families feel about the world and the land and the earth, and they're across the street from each other, and suddenly it's the collision where they're there. And for me, I always say, hey, the best arguments that we ever see on camera is where an audience member can truly sympathize and understand and agree with elements of the argument on both sides. If it's so obvious that they're right and they're wrong, well, that's not a compelling film or a layered story. And so I spent a lot of time with John early on. We were just talking, I was like, I want this guy to feel like he has done everything he possibly can for his family, and then opportunity knocks. And you can't blame him for saying yes. Obviously, it's a moment that triggers something that affects everybody around him and ultimately the world around him and the decisions they make. But I felt like it was a very realistic thing to see someone down on their luck, mopping the floor, working as a mechanic, trying to sell the house. No one's buying it. Like literally trying everything they can. And he's got kids and someone in school that they don't want to sacrifice their dream, where it became a character that was a very believable person, that you don't punish him that much when he says, drill, do it. And it was, I think it presented such an interesting dynamic for the family, but that was the focus of our early work, is that setup of George to get to that moment.
You guys actually answered quite a few of our questions, so no. Yeah. We're out of here, guys. Yeah, well, we were going to ask about rehearsal time, or if being on such a 18-day shoot. My God, I mean, yeah.
Someone better take this.
All right,
Oh man,
let's hear about
wait,
it.
my first day was do you remember, I don't know, maybe my first day was a very special day. I killed you. I had traveled the whole day before from another film set in Kentucky, came right on set, and then they were like, okay, they handed me a bat, and they're like, all right, murder, and it, jumped right to the end of the movie, which was awesome, and that isn't to say that I didn't get a lot of conversations with John, because I did, about the kind of person who maybe feels that they are always having to be an adult as a child, or someone who is having to take care of all the others around her in the more boring logistical sense, like the person who has to call the company, or the person who has to wait on the phone, that kind of person. And we talked a lot about that. That's an important person, I think, and we all know one of those. But yeah, in terms of the short film shoot, I think we really felt it. We came right in, and it did not stop which I think probably helped at the end of the day with performances.
Yeah, I think it was maybe the first or second day was the cornfield stuff.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie too. Yeah. So same thing, like jumped in and I feel like it was like 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. call, something really early for like many hours, like 3 hours running in the cornfield, I think.
My first day I got my hair colored. My first day I got my hair colored, like in a trailer, and we didn't have water. Then we had to go find the water. It was crazy. That's my story.
There was Mark in front of the camera and Mark on the other side of the camera pushing it. And I remember one night we were trying to do the shot where I get shot, and we were running out of time. It was raining, and the special effects guy is like, "Come on, I need more time." Mark's like, "Come on, please, we need to go." And they're trying to put pus in my mouth, or put pus on one of the things that pops, and I go, "Put it in my mouth, put it in my mouth." you know what I mean? But it's a crazy way to work, but it was the only way.
Yeah.
Everybody was pushing for their job to get done, and Mark had to push to it was intense, but there's something about working that way sometimes that when you feel like it's all on the line and you got a time clock and you got to make it, it heightens up and it makes you kind of push your level further sometimes than if you have all day long, I don't know, it's just an
I remember you had been doing a Fincher project at the same time, and you came and he was like, I just did one scene for 16 hours. And I was like, yeah, that's not gonna happen here.
That's Mindhunter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I rewatched. That's a great scene.
But like I said, it's a different, like you have everything at your footsteps.
Who directed
Different budget
that
level
episode?
right there.
Different budget.
Andrew Dominic. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. But to tell you the truth, I couldn't wait to get back.
Yeah.
Because you really feel part of a family. You feel part of everybody like this. Whereas you're on a shoot like that, you know who these people are, and you know where you're at, and it's a monster. Even like Law and Order is a monster.
Yeah.
But when you're on something like this, you you're really trying to get the personal moments, and I just love that. I love feeling camaraderie with people. I love that. That's my favorite part of it.
And to me, that was truly the best experience. And we have a lot of the crew members, Mike. I mean, we have so many people that were involved in the movie here. And like, listen, on paper, it's an extremely ambitious movie. The idea that you're going to shoot, one, in this genre, which means you're working nights. Two, two farming families, which means you're now outside. And three, we're in freaking Eerie, so you have no idea what you're gonna predict on the weather. Well, guess what? We can't call insurance days. Like, there's not like, hey guys, it's gonna rain tomorrow. And so we're all like, so the scene's in the rain. They're like, but her close-up's not gonna be in the rain because the fucking rain's gonna stop. We're like, so the rain's gonna stop. And if it really yanks the people out of the story, it yanks them out of the story. And even though we sit and laugh and joke about that, because what John had written was really a 32-day shoot, and we had 18 to do it, and we had to call in, I know the locals, that, you know, we were all calling every favor we had. I'm like, I know a guy in construction, he's got some scaffolding, we can get the lights up higher for the treehouse. We were calling everybody we could, because it does take a village, and it is that feeling. And I said this to John, and it's not fluff, and it has nothing to do with the fact that it happened around Girard, where I grew up, even though that's a big part of it, because like Rachel said, like the idea of shooting in your hometown is something that we as actors who have kind of traveled the world and get in such random places, like the idea of coming to your hometown to work and shoot a movie was so attractive to us, and to me especially, that it got to that point where I said to him, John, this is I've been doing this for 25 years now, and this is one of the best professional experiences I've ever had in my life. We didn't have enough money, we didn't have enough time. It's so true, and we all had to wear so many hats. Like on Allison's day off, she's there helping this department, and like everybody had to. In between scenes, it's the only way this movie can get made. And we did a panel earlier today where we talked about how to pitch and putting it together, and how there's really no formula, and how you just have to go for it, and you're calling every favor you have, and your mom's making sandwiches for people to eat. Like, it's just the way that it kind of has to get done, and that to me is what establishes a sense of community. And that, you know, a few of us, I think we've all had COVID jobs now, and to me that was the biggest hit, because now I have to stand 6 feet apart from people that I can't see and try to have the takeaway for the reason that I do the things in this business, which is to make friends and make relationships, because it is such a collaborative community feel in what we do. And we were lucky that we didn't have to go through those hurdles that the industry is living with now, because it was so many people from this area that, to my ignorance and acknowledgement after the fact, that have been to Atlanta and LA and Louisiana and Manhattan and shot big things, and the level of talent that I saw there, that John put together and Dorota put together, and that Allison, we all, like I said, we were all kind of phoning a friend to be the best possible. Even the out-of-towners said, guys, that was awesome. And as a producer, like, you just want, it's like, hey guys, we know we're all signing up to work way too many hours for way too little money. But guess what? It's gonna feel like camp at the end of the day, and we're gonna have a great time doing it. And hopefully we can make us and all tell a story that matters. And when it's that small and it means that much to people, I can tell you, from the electric department to the camera department, all the way up to our writer directors, they cared about the story. And when you have that in play, that's really all you can ask for. It mattered to everybody. And that's when it means the most, because the bigger it gets and the bigger the paychecks get, you lose maybe some of that investment, that personal investment with people. And that just wasn't the case. So I know for all of us, especially the locals, it felt so good to kind of get behind Unearth and allow this to maybe be a calling card to hopefully maybe bring some more of that industry here.
Love it.
Sorry, good night, where we are.
Well, we got to talk about Adrienne Barbeau. And Rachel, you go toe-to-toe with her in one of my favorite scenes.
I do. I think it's my only scene with her. Really, in the whole movie. I mean, there's the group scene, but really, it's my only scene with her. Yeah.
Just what a legend, and she has such a force. And I think there's like you respect her as this character, and like you can respect the fear that she instills in everybody around her as well. So I guess just if any fun stories or just your experience acting with her.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, when I first got there, I knew that she was going to be in the film, and so I got her autobiography, and I read it on my Kindle, and it was fascinating. She's just fascinating. And so then Jerry, who was driving us around, Jerry was amazing. Jerry, she was also our costumer. And she was incredible. But Jerry introduced me to Adrian. We were staying in the same hotel, and Adrian said, yeah, well, if you'd like to get dinner, let me know. And the next thing I know, I have Adrienne Barbeau's phone number, and I'm having dinner with her, and I just read her autobiography, and she's telling me all these stories that I had read about. And it was just like, I don't think I said anything in our whole dinner, but it was really special, and my father was beside himself when I told him about it. He was a little jealous, but she was lovely. I mean, and she's just like she's a mom, man. She's a mom, and I'm a mom, but she's a mom, and so is Rachel now.
Now a mom.
Now a mom.
Not a mom then, but.
Yeah, but she is now. Woo. But it was nice just that she's got this legendary career, and then she is just such a regular person. So.
I think on top of that, I have this moment of this memory where we needed her crawling through the dirt with the thing that comes out of her back, and we only were so limited on time and light and all this, and so it was like 2 a.m. maybe, and we called her at her hotel. Like, she had already filmed and gone home, and then we called her like, hey, can you come back and crawl through the mud right now? Is that cool with you? And she was so like, yeah, sure, no problem, I'm there, yeah. So she was just such a team player and so on board. And to Mark's point, like, she's not from here, but she was all in, like, what can I do? How do I help? Like, such a team player. And it was really collaborative, I think, amongst everyone, including the crew and the cast. And because of that, we were able to make this movie in such a short period of time. And I thought she was fabulous.
Absolutely.
Favorite scenes? I know you mentioned the picnic table scene. Just scenes that you're happiest with as either as your performance or just as.
None.
I have a favorite scene. I just told Rachel this. It's
So
it's a
weird.
weird scene, but it's my favorite. It's the two of them when they've just come back from the picnic to the house. And he's like, what the hell is she talking about? Like, what's going on over there? And he's going to the fridge and gets a beer, and she like puts the beer back in the fridge, and then he gets the beer back out, and then he's like closing the doors, and she's like, what's up with all the bills? Like, why didn't you there was something about the camera work, about their natural, like the way that they were moving and kind of this argument, but like she's, again, in that role where she's the caretaker of the dad. I don't know, it just resonates so deep. It's my favorite scene.
Mark, there's this brilliant moment where you're just like closing the
he closes the cabinet. It's that scene.
It's just
It's that scene. Yeah.
Perfect touch.
Perfect.
Kind of reminds me of my wife because I'm just always leaving all the cabinets open.
Yeah.
And she's just constantly closing them. But,
And it was fluid with it was like on a track, the camera too, so it's tracking him as he's closing it, and I loved that. Yeah.
I
Nice
like
of
the
you- nice
bit
of you both to
where
say.
Well, good job.
I like the bit where Rachel says, "Is the garage going under?" And you're like, "No, the garage isn't going under." And then there's a pause. He's like, "What are you going through my bills now?"
Yeah.
So it felt very
that's such
natural.
and you guys have called it out. It's kind of the power shift scene, right?
Yeah.
Like where, the caretaker needs taken care of. And, there's a nervous energy, I think, in that and there's also, that feeling of failure as a parent.
Yeah.
Like that's the one that I kept going back to in between takes or as we were, calling it out, and what I kept telling myself in that scene. It's just like, there's this, chest out, I can do it, but deep down it is, you're smarter than me, I failed you, no matter what is going on, if I have to lie, cheat, steal, or sell my soul to the devil, I will not drag you down. And so there was such I just was like, there has to be a feeling of responsibility or disappointment in the scene. And within that is nervous energy. And so like the cabinet, that was all just like that way. Like this was not scripted or planned out. Like I just went for the beer. She just kind of, some of that stuff we were just improvising as we were going. And John was like, do this or go for that. And I just started walking around, closing shit, hiding shit, didn't want to look her in the eye. I'm like, where do I put the fucking can opener? I'm just throwing it, like whatever. I just like, there's that moment where
There's a great toss in there.
you can't look your kid in the eye, you know what I mean? But that, it's, if, I would not pick my scene as a favorite, but in those scenes in the movie that I'm a part of, that is definitely it, because I thought that it helped change the movie. Like the movie went another direction in that moment.
It seems like it's the first scene where you start to realize, you start to really feel bad for Mark's character. I think you really start to say, oh, I know, kind of, I get it now, why he might make the choices that he's gonna make.
I think the scene where he has the baby and he's making all the calls
Yeah,
too, that
that's
also,
really hard.
it's like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like he's trying to sell and it's like,
Yeah.
ugh. And it's interesting because
Yeah.
it's only Mark, it's only his end of the conversation. But like the holding the baby and the juxtaposition of this like infant in this garage, so
Yeah.
he's juggling all these things and he still is like, and you went to the chain, like you, okay, all right, like, okay, and then I'm gonna keep trying, but it's like and then he gets a dead number, like, wrong number. It's just, your heart starts to be like, wow, dude, this is hard, yeah.
And thank you. I'm sweating a little bit. I loved almost every single scene in the kitchen of their family. I know I've already mentioned this, but that for some reason that kitchen felt like a character to me from the first scene we see in the movie in that place, the way that our DP unit, the way that she lit it, the way that John staged
Is that
it.
natural lighting? It's so, if it's not natural lighting, it's like unbelievable, because
It's what? I'm
it
sorry?
seems so natural, the natural lighting
Yeah,
of
no,
those
it's
scenes.
not.
Yes,
It's lit.
it seems so good, and again, their performances, and it was so believable. Like, here's our two big city New Yorker talent that we brought in from our heavy hitters that we brought in from out of Eerie, and we were like, okay, let's see. And in that kitchen, I was like, they're fucking farmers, and I felt the difficulty in their life. I felt tension. I felt love. I felt they've spent a lifetime in this kitchen and mapping out what the seasons are and what the crops are and how to market and how to sell. Like, that all came out. So that for some reason, the way that, again, that it was, it's not every scene in every movie where it's written right, shot right, performed right. Like, there's just a few that kind of happen. And to me, that sequence in the kitchen was like that. It was cast right. It was just spot on.
I think the DP was absolutely incredible as well, Unali. She just, beautifully shot, I think. And there was a smart conversation that we spent money on lenses. And I think that was a really important thing to do. I mean,
Put that out.
Sorry. But that was an important investment that I see. I'm like, wow, because there was a whole conversation, like, do we put this chunk of money there? And I think it was really smart that we did.
Can I shout out Brooke, because because now that I've had a baby, I look at someone, and Brooke is very young and doesn't have a baby, and I completely believe her as a teen mom. I completely believe her. And unrelated to that aspect of her story, but not exactly. There's the scene that I happen to be in, but I'm not that important in it, where we get the first check. That's a really disappointing check with a lot of things removed from it. And I think that you and she in that you guys just are perfect in it. And I think it's so devastating, and to see her tears, and I just find her to be so good. And if you met her in real life, she's this bubbly LA girl.
She has a lot of comedy.
Yeah, and then she just totally transformed in this. So,
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that
Yeah.
scene. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And that's because the actors bring it, And I wanted to say something about John and directing on set. He really let the actors find the scene and then shoot it. So if there's any directors out here, young ones, that's the best. When you really have the good actors and you let them explore a scene before you decide how to shoot. You might have an ideas, but let them explore it in the moment, really work with the emotions, and then capture it. As I tell you, there's been moments on sets where I've been pre-blocked, and you start to find the scene really emotionally, and then you want to go in a different direction, and they haven't let you or let you define
Right.
it. But John let us those kitchen scenes, perfect example.
Yeah.
Let us feel it, and man, you don't even know where the camera is anymore, and that's the beauty, I think.
And I want to add to that. I agree with that completely. And one thing that John and Dorota did was they gave us, like PJ's saying, they gave us permission to discover the things, and they trusted us as much as we trusted them. And just personally, working on Unearth and having that trust from John and Dorota and being in such good, capable, safe hands with amazing scene partners and an amazing crew, that was like the first job that I'd had where I felt like, oh, maybe I know what I'm like. Maybe I should trust my feelings inside. Because before this, I'd done a bunch of stuff. Like anything I'd done on TV was like, I'm a lawyer and I've got pretty clothes, or I'm a judge person and I've got nice hair. But this was like the first time where I got to do something where it was just like real, right? And ever since then, every job I've had since then has been really fantastic and really real and really gritty. And it's because I was given permission to do that on Unearth. And so I'm just really grateful to John and Dorota for that opportunity, because it really did, for me, open up a whole new world of work that is a lot more meaningful to me than playing like a warden on SVU.
And I have to say that I'm impressed. Like, if you want to be impressed by their performances, like they're all pretending to like me right now. Because, see, wow, what an honest reaction. But in truth, like I unfortunately had to be the guy cracking the whip a lot. So all of these discussions and some of these like rehearsals and finding it, and again, it's just a credit. I say it to commend everybody's, not only their professionalism, but the best projects and moments are without ego, and it's really hard not to have it. It's like it is their job to come to the take to the table with a take on scene, character, and story, as it is John's. He wrote it, he's directing it, and producing it. It's theirs, but it takes a true egoless environment to take this idea and take this idea and elevate it to this. And you could see an openness on both sides to allow, and John's like, wow, that moment isn't in the script, but guys, I need a close-up of that. I'm like, another close-up, it's gonna cost us 20 minutes, John. I'm like, okay. But one of the challenges, and I say this in the best possible way, because one of the reasons I think John was interested in having me involved is because I've had an experience at a lot of budget levels and have done a version at this number and a version of the Tom Cruise number, and have had a taste of what it can be like and what needs to get done to finish it in 18 days. And one day I remember they were filming the shower head to get the right ooze dripping, and I felt like we were there for like an hour. I'm like, John, you are gonna have an amazing 36-minute movie. We cannot shoot a shower head for an hour. And there is a give and take in that, and the only way that you can effectively cut those corners and make your day is if everybody shows up prepared, everybody has an opinion and a take on it, but can let all of it go to take notes, to take what their scene partner or their director or producer or somebody's giving them and say, great, got it, and go. Because the reality is we had 2 takes the entire movie. Yeah. That's it. This is not you used to watch outtakes, and I used to remember seeing like outtakes of like, Meet the Parents, and like De Niro, take 14, click. I'm like, I haven't had 14 takes my entire career. Like, it's just, and then on a movie this size, it's not realistic. And so, to be as prepared as John was with the shot list and a real plan to make your day, but yet have an openness to see what other people brought to the table and be able to morph and bend, because everybody had to subscribe to, and the best are always like, best idea wins. If you can get the entire department and crew and team to say, best idea wins, it doesn't matter whose idea it is, if that's what comes out, then that's what you shoot. And to John's credit and to these guys' credit, every single day, everybody was prepared and everybody was had the willingness to take what they prepared and let it go to listen to something else. And that is a very easy thing to say, but a very difficult thing to do. And I would stand and work with this crowd any day of the week, again, because of that quality.
Well, my closing arguments here, before I guess we give some audience questions. I just think a mark of a really good movie is not only saying, but showing just without saying anything. There's so many shots where it's just relying on your performances through your facial expressions and stuff, which goes so far, and I think it adds so many layers and some ambiguity to it all, which it brings, I think, great rewatchability, and yeah, killer. Good movie,
Well,
guys.
seeing it's always more powerful than saying it.
Yes.
You know, and again, John came to the table with that early
Absolutely.
on.
Yeah.
What were the prosthetics like? I guess mostly for PJ and Rachel, because you had the mushroom prosthetic at the door.
Oh, yeah.
What was that? Was that a long application, or
Along what?
like did you have to sit in the application chair? For
Oh,
a
yeah.
moment?
Oh,
The
yeah.
FX guys were Tolan Effects from Pittsburgh that came in and did that. And they've done they did Dark Knight. We were so lucky to have them come on board. And yeah, how long did it take you?
You kind of go into a Zen mode. You just kind of,
Yeah.
because
It was funny
And
though,
you just-
like when we broke for lunch. We broke for lunch and I remember like you had a giant thing sticking out of your head at lunch and we were like eating salad and he's like got this thing sticking out of his head. That was fun.
How long did you have to wear it? Like all day?
I think we actually started it in the late afternoon because the shot was going to be at night.
That's right.
The application take way more time than it took you to shoot it.
Oh, yeah. Shoot it. When we actually shot it, it took like, what, one take?
I
two
think
take?
we
That's
only
it.
had one take because
Yeah.
of the and that was raining. And it was raining and he was in the rain because he was outside, but we were inside in the kitchen. So they had
Yeah.
Mike, yeah.
They throw a
exactly.
crash pad next to you. Can you just hit that? Yeah, let's just go. You sure? Go. But yeah,
Rachel,
it was.
you had one too, right? At one point.
I did. I had a few coming out of here, and I think the person who had the most was Adrian, though, right? I mean, hers was crazy.
That
Well,
was
I know
that was
maybe
a full
PJ.
prosthetic head though.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, that was.
I
a
didn't
full,
know
wasn't-
that.
Yeah, right. That, they
Really?
created her.
I thought that she had to,
Well,
like.
they did. They actually, I believe, John could verify. I think they did the mold of her face, or maybe you would know.
Whoa.
From
It's all news to me. I didn't know.
from LA, even before she came, I think, because they had to build it in advance. And they did a phenomenal job. Yeah, I think.
Oh
both of
man. Well, that's.
You know,
yeah.
we didn't have to sit in the chair at all for this. You know, it's like, look, when you have effects, it's kind of like technology at your house. Eventually, it's going to fail. Something's going to go wrong. And again, end of the day, because they're always saved for the end of the day for some reason. At the end of the movie, I'm carrying Brooke outside to get into the car, and you know, we had a full load of like smoothie and all this stuff that's supposed to come
Oh, yeah.
shooting out
Projectile
of this
vomit.
air, you know, it was like a giant air tube. They hit the button and it blows up and she throws up all over me. Well, it's the last shot, otherwise we're going into overtime, which we can't afford, and we keep hitting the button and it's not working. And I just remember saying to Brooke, just put it in your mouth and spit on me. She's like, yes. I'm like, damn it. And she put in as much as she could, and I'm like, just let me have it. And from point blank range, I'm like, you got to do what every actor I've ever worked with has been dying to do. And so, yeah, sometimes it's just like a quick little like, okay, the effects didn't work. We got to go old school. Or you sit in the chair for 6 hours for a 15-second shot. It's just, that's what it is, you know?
Well, does the audience have any questions? Yes. I'll come down. Okay, project.
I'm not sure, this might be more of a question for John, but latching on to the prophetic question. I was following the rest of this movie for a while. I was lucky enough to read an early draft of the script. And at one point I read that the young mother picks up the baby and it just dissolves in her arms.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that's really shocking. How are they going to pull that off? So I guess my question was, how did you pull that off? It's a very striking effect.
Yeah.
It was made of gelatin, right? Gelatin. It was made of gelatin. And there were two, is that right?
We only had two.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So there was no
Jinx
rehearsal.
there.
Yeah, Brooke, we all felt bad for Brooke. We're like, Brooke, like this is super fragile. You can't pick it up in rehearsal. We have to shoot it. So let's just go through the motions and pretend we don't know what's gonna happen. Go with it, but it's a bad thing. She's like, yeah, I got that part. It's a bad thing.
Well, there was like a real life, like there was the fake baby. Wasn't there like a fake baby that looked really real? Yes, but we ended up not using it. Anyway, that's a terrible, this is a boring story.
Well, I think to Brooke's credit, and she's not here, and she is so incredibly talented, but that was her audition scene. She auditioned, and that was her audition scene, and she killed it. So I think, she's like, I can do without a baby. So sure, you're gonna give me a goo baby? Great, yeah. Because you audition, you have nothing. It's in the air. So, and she nailed that. So having a goo baby was.
And what was smart, what was really great about it is having it be translucent. They could put some of the fake blood on it. The light hit it in a certain way. It was very obvious that the baby had been affected. And with showing all the water and then eventually seeing the bottle and her going to formula, like it was one of those moments that I thought was crafted very well because you anticipate, you're like, oh shit, not the baby. They can't do it to a baby. Don't do it to the baby. And then suddenly you see the see-through kid. You're like, oh no, they did it to the baby.
And the way that the fungus attacked things was based upon these, was it cordyceps, which John had these ants, that it's a real fungus that ants have, and it manifests differently, and we wanted it to manifest differently based upon the age of, so that's why, Adrian had a different effect versus the baby, which just melted and became goo.
I took my 10-year-old to the drive-in. You had a screening at the drive-in. I don't know what this says about me as a parent, but that was his favorite. He couldn't stop raving about the dead baby scene. He was so happy they had killed the baby in the movies.
That 1-year-old, like best baby acting, like
Oh my
Best
God,
baby
I
acting.
feel that way
Best.
too.
all of the unreal.
In the one scene where it starts crying,
Yeah.
like I'm waiting for John to yell cut. Like I'm about to break character. It's like the kid's crying, and finally, and it's just like I know in the edit in his computer somewhere there's the end of that scene, which is like, John, I can't do it anymore. Just give the kid back to their parents. Like like right on cue at the right climax of the scene, right when it's supposed to be, the kid starts crying. I'm like,
I was just
this is
complaining about a TV
amazing.
show where I could tell that they had sort of dubbed a newborn cry, like just a stock sound of a newborn cry into a baby that was supposed to be 1 year old sleeping in the other room, and I was like, that is phony. And I was like, that is not what a baby cries like when they're one. So it was so weirdly refreshing to see a real baby doing real baby things with the right age.
Yeah.
And
It was-
because in TV you see they just fake it all the time.
It was twins. It was, the youngest was twins, right? A year apart. Okay, it was the year apart. So they were actually the same baby was brother. They were brothers.
Yeah.
That's a fun factoid. I like that. Any other questions?
Questions from the audience? Yes.
Allison, question for you. I'm not sure if all of you do remember this. I think it was during your last scene, you were shooting on the front steps of the house. Did you notice like 2 kids on bikes running down the road?
I do remember that. I remember Mark noticed that. I recall a whole thing about that. Yeah,
that you?
Were you one of the kids?
That was me and my brother.
I love it. That's so awesome. Was it cool to see it here?
You stole the movie, you two.
Yeah.
I remember we were sitting on bikes watching, and I think maybe John or somebody said, guys on bikes, can you move out of the way?
That was definitely John. Yes, that's my memory
It
of
wasn't
that
Mark.
too,
It
for
wasn't Mark
sure.
at all. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, nice to meet you guys again. Yeah. Were you like, what is this? What did you guys think of? I think that was the general consensus of people in Edinburgh at first. They were like, wait, what? Like a movie? Like, what is this? So, yeah.
Way to go, John. It was good for the movie. Good job.
Cool.
It's actually Silverthorne, Pennsylvania, not Edinburgh, according to the newspaper.
Right.
That's-
According to
yeah,
the newspaper, that's correct. Yeah.
Which is,
Well, it was Silverthorne Road that we
yeah,
filmed on, so I think that was where
recognize
they
that
got
farm as the place where I buy corn, where Adrian Barbeau is selling corn. Yeah, that's good corn. Highly recommend the corn from that farm. Other questions? Yes.
Yeah, trust me, if I had a few years of eligibility, I would try. I'd only be good for about one possession, unfortunately, these days. But go ahead, you jump in
to
about
the point
the
of
message.
to the point
yeah.
of the fracking. Yes, and that was a conversation that we had. Although to bring up Mark's point about when people make, because there are both sides to this, and I think that we're saying it is true in Pennsylvania, people can turn on their spigots and have been able to light them on fire, right? That's a thing that we all have heard, that we know someone that the water is bad. That is at the root of part of the story, and we took that truth and we're like, well, what if it was this weird dormant mushroom spore that grows into you, and the choices that you make, Mark, doing so, then affect the choices of those around you, and that reflects that statement. If you make a tree good, the fruit will be good. If you make the tree bad, the fruit. So these decisions that you make could have dire consequences. So I think that absolutely that's important and was a core in telling the story. Yeah.
Okay.
Back to Drawer basketball.
Sorry, guys. Good, cool.
So in 1989,
All right, anything else? Other questions from the audience? I guess one last question for me. What upcoming projects that you want to talk about, or things that we should look for?
I have a show. I have a show. So I'm doing a show for Apple TV, and it'll be out in the spring of 22. And it's called 5 Days at Memorial, and it tells the true story of Memorial Hospital in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. The hospital lost power and flooded, and the rescue efforts to get out the patients were completely botched. And we all play real people. So I play a woman named Sandra LeBlanc, who was she was an EMT, and she taught emergency medicine. And she and her husband organized a flotilla of those like fan boats to go and rescue Mark's mom from the hospital. So it's a limited series for Apple. It's directed by John Ridley and Carson Hughes. Carson is responsible for Lost, and John won an Oscar for writing 12 Years a Slave. So it should be pretty good. And they let me be in it. So it's an 8-episode series, and I'm in 5 of them. So I'm excited. Yay!
I just finished a show on Apple as well, Truth Be Told, with Octavia Spencer and Kate Hudson, and the new season of Lucifer that just released like a month ago. I'm in that as well. So I feel like I did a bunch of films that have all come out. I did a lot of Lifetime movies recently, and they've now all aired. So if you happen to click through, I'm usually the bad guy in them.
we'll stay on the Apple theme. I did an Apple show that got shut down 3 times. We eventually finished and actually just started streaming, I think 2 nights ago, called Swagger, which is, there's an NBA superstar named Kevin Durant, and it's really about his upbringing and AAU basketball, and as a high school and middle school kid trying to make it with the greedy, corrupt world of trying to recruit kids early and pay kids to get to play. So back to the Girard basketball, it was a special project for me to be a part of, and I kind of took a page from your book almost, Rachel, and I was like begging to do
Really?
this
Can I really
because I
fan
was
that?
like, well, basketball was the first love, and now this is the second. I really want to be a part of this show, and was shamelessly pitching after my audition before they cut the camera. I'm like, oh, I do have a basketball background, by the way. I did go da-da-da-da-da. And you try to get all this shit in, even though it was to play a seedy coach. It was fun. It was fun to be back in the world, and they. You know, whenever you do a sports movie like that, you kind of have that choice. Do you cast actors and teach them how to play the sport, or do you teach athletes and teach them how to act? Well, you can't grab a kid off the street and make him a Division I athlete. So they smartly made the choice to cast basketball players first so you would believe in the world. And so I saw myself in a lot of these 16, 17, 18-year-olds that are like, they all signed waivers so that this TV show wouldn't affect their eligibility to go on and play. And so they're all fighting and trying to make it. And it was funny because I was just like the old middle-aged white actor, you know, in the show. And then they found out my background that I played at Wake Forest with Tim Duncan. And it was like instant respect. They're like, dude, this is amazing, you know. It's like I got a lot of street cred with all of the boys once they found out a little bit of the background. But that's also at Apple TV, and that just started.
PJ, anything coming up?
Oh, I got nothing. Well, I'm on like a maternity leave, so what I got is, you know, sleepless and whatever. But I made my first tape, you know, last week. I skipped having to, like, because of all that, my personal life, I missed the COVID set, which I hear is so fun and, yeah, and horrible. So I guess I lucked out in that way. But, yeah, and I have a baby. But I missed, I did make my first tape last week, which was weird. It was really weird to audition again, but I'm back.
The cast of Unearth, everyone.
Thank you guys so much
Thank you
for
guys.
coming out.
Thanks for coming.